Greetings, we are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and we are continuing from our last upload in regards to defining atheism. What exactly is atheism? And we've covered this. Down to right about here. Okay, so the range. Some of the ambiguity and controversy involved in defining atheism arises from difficulty in reaching a consensus for the definitions of words like deity and God. The variety of widely different conceptions of God and deities lead to differing ideas regarding atheism's applicability. The ancient Romans accused Christians of being atheists for not worshipping the pagan deities, a term used in the 4th century by early Christians for people in the Roman Empire who practiced polytheism or ethnic religions other than Judaism. In the time of the Roman Emperor, individuals fell into the pagan class either because and whatever else information they had. We read that and defined that pagan actually meant people from the country. Another one was people who don't accept the state religion, Christianity, etc. They have other ideas, another form of religion, a cult, etc. Those who worship strange gods and so forth. Gradually this view fell into disfavour as theism came to be understood as encompassing belief in any divinity. Yeah, the Romans, as we stated in another video, we read this ages ago, the ancient Romans accused Christians of being atheists. They said they were the first atheists for not worshipping the pagan deities, their goddesses, their planet gods, etc., and refusing to do the bull sacrifices and every other Roman pagan ritual. With respect to the range of phenomena being rejected, atheism may counter anything from the existence of a deity to the existence of any spiritual, supernatural or transcendental concepts such as those of Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism and Taoism, implicit versus explicit. Definitions of atheism also vary in the degree of consideration a person must put to the idea of gods to be considered an atheist. Atheism is commonly defined as a simple absence of belief that any deities exist, and that's something they believe in, so it's a belief. This broad definition would include newborns and other people who have not been exposed to theistic ideas. As far back as 1772, Baron de Holbach said that all children are born atheists, they have no idea of God. Similarly, George H. Smith suggested that the man who is unacquainted with theism is an atheist because he does not believe in a God. This category would also include the child with the conceptual capacity to grasp the issues involved, but who is still unaware of those issues. The fact that this child does not believe in God qualifies him as an atheist. Implicit atheism is the absence of theistic belief without a conscious rejection of it, and explicit atheism is the conscious rejection of belief. For the purposes of his paper on philosophical atheism, Ernest Nagel, an American philosopher of science, along with Rudolf Carnap, Hans Reichenbach and Karl Hempel, he is sometimes seen as one of the major figures of the logical positive movement, and he wrote a book, The Structure of Science. Contested, including the mere absence of theistic belief as a type of atheism. Graham Oppy, an Australian philosopher whose main area of research is the philosophy of religion. He currently holds a post of Professor of Philosophy and Associate Dean at Research at Monash University and serves as CEO of Australasian, probably the association or university or something like that. He classifies as innocents those who never consider the question because they lack any understanding of what a God is. According to Oppy, these could be 1-month-old babies, mere infants, humans with severe traumatic brain injuries, or patients with advanced dementia. They can't remember things, they forget things easily. Positive versus negative. There's more information there. Etymology. In early ancient Greek, this is the origin of that word, atheism or atheist. In early ancient Greek, the adjectives, these are describing words, atheos, meant godless. It was first used as a term of censure, roughly meaning ungodly or impious. In the 5th century BCE, the word began to indicate more deliberate and active godlessness, in the sense of severing relations with the gods or denying the gods. So in the Greek, we've already covered it, the etymology, godless person who denies the existence of a supreme intelligent being to whom moral obligation is due, from the French atheiste, and from the Greek atheos, without God, denying the gods, abandoned of the gods, godless, ungodly, from a dash without, or not, or in that sense. Theos, a god, forming words for religious concepts, etc. Okay, and there's some more information here. A is a prefix meaning not, without, or without. So it's not a theist, not theistic. Okay, non-theistic. Prefix meaning not, without. Okay, there's more information here. Okay, there's the etymology, and some people talking about it, information on it. Atheism was first used to describe a self-fulfilled belief in the late 18th century Europe, specifically denoting disbelief in the monotheistic Abrahamic God. He believed in the one God only. In the 20th century, globalization contributed to the expansion of the term to refer to disbelief in all deities, though it remains common in Western society to describe atheism as disbelief in God. Arguments, epistemological arguments, skepticism, based on the ideas of David Hume, and so forth. Metaphysical arguments, metaphysical atheism. Logical arguments, arguments against the existence of God, problem of evil and divine hiddenness. Reductionary accounts of religion, atheism, religions and spirituality, atheism and negative theology, atheistic philosophies, Marx and Freud, by the looks of it. French philosopher Jean-Paul Sartre identified himself as a representative of an atheistic existentialism, concerned less with denying the existence of God than with establishing that man needs to find himself again and to understand that nothing can save him from himself, not even a valid proof of the existence of God. Sartre said a corollary of his atheism was that if God does not exist, there is at least one being in whom existence precedes essence, a being who exists before he can be defined by any concept, and this being is man. Sartre described the practical consequence of this atheism as meaning that there are no a priori rules, absolute values that can be invoked to govern human conduct, and that humans are condemned to invent these for themselves, making man absolutely responsible for everything he does. Religion and morality, association with worldviews and social behaviour, irreligion, divine command according to Plato's Euthyphro dilemma. The role of the gods in determining right from wrong is either unnecessary or arbitrary. The argument that morality must be derived from God and cannot exist without a wise creator has been a persistent feature of political, if not so much philosophical debate. Moral precepts such as murder is wrong are seen as divine laws, requiring a divine lawmaker and judge. However, many atheists argue that treating morality legalistically involves a false analogy, and that morality does not depend on a lawmaker in the same way that laws do. Friedrich Nietzsche believed in a morality independent of theistic belief. It stated that morality based upon God is truth only if God is truth. It stands or fails with faith in God. And keep in mind that Friedrich Nietzsche had lots and lots of problems. Mind problems, etc. physical problems. There exist normative ethical systems that do not require principles and rules to be given by a deity. Some include virtue ethics, social contract, Kantian ethics. No idea what that is. It's to do with the philosopher Kant. Deontological ethical theory developed by German philosopher Immanuel Kant. That it is based on the notion that it is impossible to think of anything at all in the world, or indeed even beyond it, that could be considered good. Utilitarianism and objectivism. Sam Harris has proposed that moral prescription, ethical rule-making, is not just an issue to be explored by philosophy, but that we can meaningfully practice a science of morality. Okay. So you can be more moral through a scientific method. Any such scientific system must nevertheless respond to the criticism embodied in the naturalistic fallacy. Claim that any reductive explanation of good in terms of natural properties such as pleasant or desirable is false. The term was introduced by British philosopher G.E. Moore in his 1903 book Principia Ethica. And he goes on about philosophers Susan Neiman and Julian Baggini. Criticism of religion, and looks like Karl Marx there. The 19th century German political theorist and sociologist Karl Marx called religion the sigh of the oppressed creature, the heart of a heartless world, and the soul of soulless conditions. It is the opium of the people, so that's where it came from. He goes on to say, the abolition of religion is the illusory happiness of the people is the demand for their real happiness. To call on them to give up the illusions about their condition is to call on them to give up a condition that requires illusions. The criticism of religion is therefore an embryo. The criticism of that veil of tears of which religion is a halo. Lenin said that every religious idea and every idea of God's unutterable vileness of the most dangerous kind, contagion of the most abominable kind. Millions of sins, filthy deeds, acts of violence and physical contagions are far less dangerous than the subtle spiritual idea of God decked out in the smartest ideological costumes. Yeah, that's just this guy's ideas, right? It's idealism. Sam Harris criticises Western religions' reliance on divine authority as lending itself to authoritarianism, a political system characterized by the rejection of political plurality, the use of strong central power to preserve the political status quo, and reduction in the rule of law, separating of powers, and democratic voting. And dogmatism. The broad sense is any belief held unquestioningly and with undefeated certainty. It may be in the form of an official system of principles or doctrines of a religion, such as Roman Catholicism, Judaism, or Protestantism, as well as the positions of philosophy or a philosopher. There is a correlation between religious fundamentalism and extrinsic religion, when religion is held because it serves ulterior interests, and authoritarianism, dogmatism, and prejudice. These arguments combine with historical events that are argued to demonstrate the dangers of religion, such as crusades, inquisitions, witch trials. These are all related to the Roman Catholic Church. They created the crusades, the inquisitions, and the witch trials, which carried on, continued after one monk. A German monk, apparently he frequented brothels quite frequently, but he seemed to have a hate for women, and then he came up with this idea, this theory that, that on witches, all this sort of stuff, who is a witch, how to identify a witch, etc, etc. If she had a black cat hanging onto her leg or singing around, going around her leg or something like that, and she was singing a song while she was cleaning the house or whatever it was, it's signs of a witch, all this sort of stuff, right? So he pushed and pushed and pushed to three top people at the time, writers or well-knowns, and they says we didn't back him on this. It's a load of rubbish. He's a load of rubbish. We didn't back him up on that, whereas he claimed they did, and he kept pushing and pushing and pushing until King James said, "Oh, yeah, okay, that book's the one, the Witch Hunter's Guide," or something like that, right? And he started believing it, and he started pushing it, and all this sort of stuff. And then you had the Salem witch trials and all that sort of stuff that followed, later on. All these different witch trials, Inquisition, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, we may not be exact with what we just said, but it's something along those lines. You can go do your personal research on that, about those witch trials. And this guy, this German monk apparently, that visited brothels, but he had a hateful woman for some reason. So he created this witch hunter manual type thing, and pushed and pushed and pushed until it got accepted, and King James liked it, approved of it or something like that. Then it became the book of the day sort of thing, and all these witch trials and killings and stuff, murders, inquisitions went on, right? Spread and were put out there. Yeah. Believers counter argue that some regimes that espouse atheism, such as the Soviet Union, have already been guilty of mass murder. In response to those claims, atheists such as Sam Harris and Richard Dawkins have stated that Stalin's atrocities were influenced not by atheism but by dogmatic Marxism. But wasn't he an atheist? But he just had this idealism. And that while Stalin and Mao, Chairman Mao from China, happened to be atheists, there you go, they were atheists. They did not do their deeds in the name of atheism. Did they know them personally? Did they have their mindset? Did they tap into their mindset? No, they're just looking at the history, the historical records of what these people did. If they banned God in their countries, right? They spoke out against God. They're not of God, are they? They're anti-theist. They're anti-God. Isn't that simple? Isn't that easy to grasp? If they're not of God, who are they of? If they're anti-God or anti-Christ, who are they of? They're not for God. They're against God, aren't they? Okay, so here's the history of atheism, early Indian religions, classical antiquity. Western atheism has its roots in pre-Socratic Greek philosophy. But atheism in the modern sense was extremely rare in ancient Greece. Pre-Socratic atomists such as Democritus attempted to explain the world in a purely materialistic way, and interpreted religion as a human reaction to natural phenomena, but did not explicitly deny the God's existence. And some scholarship has recognized a rational theology in his thought. Anaxagoras, whom Irenaeus calls the atheist, was accused of impiety and condemned for stating that the sun is a type of incandescent stone, an affirmation with which he tried to deny the divinity of the celestial bodies. In the late 5th century BCE, the Greek lyric poet Diagoras of Melos, was sentenced to death in Athens under the charge of being a godless person after he made fun of the Eleusinian mysteries, but he fled the city to escape punishment. In post-classical antiquity, philosophers such as Cicero and Sextus Empiricus described Diagoras as an atheist who categorically denied the existence of the gods. But in modern scholarship, Marek Winiarczyk has defended the view that Diagoras was not an atheist in the modern sense, and a view that has proved influential. On the other hand, the verdict has been challenged by Tim Whitmarsh, who argues that Diagoras rejected the gods on the basis of the problem of evil, and this argument was in turn alluded to in Euripides' fragmentary play Bellerophon. so forth. Early Middle Ages to the Renaissance, early modern period, since 1900, other developments. New atheism, demographics, where it is all over the world. Countries that have a percentage of atheists. And in accordance to a 2010 survey published in the Encyclopedia Britannica, these are all the percentages. Arab world. In recent years, the profile of atheism has risen substantially in the Arab world. In major cities across the region, such as Cairo, atheists have been organising in cafes and social media despite regular crackdowns from authoritarian governments. Islam would have been too happy with that one. A 2012 poll by Gallup International revealed that 5% of Saudis consider themselves to be convinced atheists. However, very few young people in the Arab world have atheists in their circle of friends or acquaintances. According to one study, less than 1% did in Morocco, Egypt, Saudi Arabia or Jordan, and so forth. Attitudes towards atheism. These are the information you can look at. Okay. So that's atheism in a nutshell, okay? Which is basically, as we term it, anti-theism or anti-theist. They don't believe in a god or gods, so it is a belief. Belief defined is a subjective attitude that something or proposition is true. They believe it, right? In epistemology, philosophers use the term belief to refer to attitudes about the world which can be either true or false. To believe something is to take it to be true. And it gives an example. Okay, so it's a belief. It's probably not a religion, but it's a belief. An attitude that something or that there's something or proposition is true. So we hope that opened your eyes to what atheism actually is, when defined, when information is brought to you. It just makes you aware of it, what it is, what it really is, and so forth. So no one can say, oh no, that's not right. That's not true. Okay. And confuse people like Bart D. Ehrman go around calling themselves atheists, agnostic atheists, because they don't really know, they don't have that knowledge, they don't have that evidence, you know, that there's a God, and then so forth, so they don't believe. Now through their study, through their research, they come to their realization that there is no God. We don't need a God. There's no need for a deity. It can be explained away, all that sort of thing. So if you like this video, then please subscribe to our channel, give us a like, add your comments below this video, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And then go share this video, have a look at all our other videos on our YouTube channel, the Ministry of the Real Truth, and then go share those with all your family, friends, church